In your testimony, you discussed the lack of accurate data regarding the online economy. And without such measures, it is really difficult to measure the impact of the Internet on our nation's economy, as well as to the extent to which small firms have an online presence. Do you have any recommendations for developing a statistical benchmark to more accurately measure e-commerce activity?
Madam Chairwoman, that's a terrific question, and certainly I do. It is the case that the federal government, as well as private interests, have been missing the role of small business selling online in a dramatic fashion. The Internet and Retailer is a prominent trade magazine which annually publishes its list of top 500 sellers online, retailers online. Amazon is at the top of this list. The most recent version of this had our 2006 sales of a little bit under $11 billion in 2006, but it completely missed the sales through platforms like eBay, which during the same period had $52 billion of sales through its platform. It's not even on, eBay is not even on the list. Google is not on the list. Yahoo is not. Microsoft is not. They miss these, they undercount them, and because so many of the sales through the platforms like an eBay are by small businesses, we're completely missing a large segment of the online economy. And so I would love for the Census Department to drill down deeper with its e-stats, instead of just looking at businesses like they tend to in the business reports. Try to delve down further to get at the small business seller online.
Thank you. Dr. Storrs, do you have any insight into how we can get better or more accurate data?
Most of what we track through our research with GEM is more international and more in terms of business starts and business stops. What I can tell you is more anecdotal and more I've seen at a local level is that a lot of what happens through the e-commerce arena doesn't report out immediately or as quickly as some other sources do. So it is, in essence, under the radar activity that becomes more difficult to track. The question would come up is, are you tracking number of hits to a given website or actual purchases through that website is one of the distinguishing factors. And I think my colleagues are probably working on that very arena to try to get more closely to that.
Thank you. And my last question is to both Amazon and Google. We all know that the Internet has the ability to level the playing field between firms by allowing small businesses in remote areas to compete for customers. Can you talk to us about any special efforts to reach out to these businesses in rural locations to highlight the benefits of e-commerce?
Sure. Congresswoman, as your question indicated, it's on the Internet, one of the beauties of the platform it creates is, in some ways, there are no rural and urban businesses. There are just businesses that have the opportunity to compete equally on the level playing field, as you suggested. Our primary focus is on trying to provide, as I've discussed, the tools that enable that as simply as possible. We have a number of outreach programs that we do in terms of outreach to different types of communities to provide the necessary education. We do that to certain communities. We do that to certain minority groups, and so on as appropriate. And our goal is to provide tools that work effectively for all groups and all entrepreneurs as effectively as possible. It takes a variety of flavors, but largely we think there's a lot more in common across these. And by creating a level playing field, you can create tools and you can create education materials that will work effectively for a large group of entrepreneurs.
Mr. Meisner.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be brief. I certainly agree with Mr. Fisher. Just like the Internet has removed the barriers to consumers whereby a rural or isolated community may not have but one or two retail outlets, they no longer are beholden to those one or two retail outlets. They have the entire Internet available to them. Likewise do small businesses. Small business selling through Amazon isn't beholden to just a local community of buyers, but rather to the 79 million and growing active customers of Amazon. And so it really is a great enabler, and I think a very good news story for small business.